Hi, welcome to Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Whitey, and today I'm going to review a film called The Last Man Standing. No, just Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. This came out in 1996, and what you have is it takes place during the Depression era, the Prohibition era, and in a border town right on the border of, I believe it's Texas and Mexico. There's an Irish mob, the Irish mob and the Italian mob have set up in that town. The Irish are in town, the Italians are like a bar and a hotel right outside of town, and they're selling booze across the border into Mexico. And so, as the booze is being made in Chicago or somewhere like that, it's being shipped here, and this is the last stop as it goes across the border into the hands of the Mexicans, or vice versa, and booze and guns and mobby stuff. And again, this is like circa, say, 1933 in the desert, Texas. Bruce Willis is driving by, and this is like a kind of has a noir feel to it because you don't know who he is. You get very little on his background. You don't even really know so much as his real name. And he's driving through town. He's just passing through, and I think it gets a flat. Or at one point he's driving through town, and the Irish guys from the Irish mob, some of the not the top tier guys, but the underlings, they come out just out of boredom, harass him, and they mess up his car. So he goes to get his car fixed. He's now stuck in town, and then he ends up on one side and the other side, and playing the two sides against each other, and an opportunity to get money. And the Irish, you have Patrick Kilpatrick, who actually gets killed right away. And then it's led by the group, the mob there. That outfit is led by David Patrick Kelly, and Christopher Walken is the second hand man. And it's alluded to him a lot throughout the film. He's like the scary dude. Like, he's the nightmare you want to avoid. He's like the top alpha dog killer of the whole town and what's going on. On the other side of town, there's two mobsters and their gaggle of Italian mobsters. And the Irish aren't particularly a competent bunch, but by comparison, they are. So David Patrick Kelly, if you recognize him from a whole slew, the Warriors, come out and play. That guy, and he's been in a bunch of movies since. He's the top guy, and then you got R.D. Call, the letter R, the letter D, Call, Call, who's been in a bunch of movies. He's like the second hand man, or like the guy who's in charge when David Patrick Kelly's character isn't around. And then who was that? Christopher Walken's like the terrifying guy with, like, he's got some scars on his face and shit. Everybody's afraid of him. Then you have William Sanderson, who plays the bartender, who's like the only real friend, the only guy to be friendly rather to Bruce Willis. And then the guy out of town is fixing his cars, okay. And then the Italian mob, and Michael Imperioli from Sopranos fame is in that, and another guy who's been in a bunch of movies, Italian. And they were so. Then there's a couple of ladies, couple of pretty ladies. One's a prostitute, all this stuff. But that's really your premise. You have the Irish mob and the Italian mob, and they have a truce as they're selling booze into Mexico. And then at one point, some Mexican guys come up with some Irish guys, and they get gunned down. Each side keeps taking out dudes from the other side, and Bruce Willis ends up playing both sides. Then he gets his ass beat really bad, and decides to take out vengeance on anybody. Now, then the Irish mob, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So it's basically that. You have the Irish, you have the Italians, and they have a very uneasy truce that both sides keep violating. And then Bruce Willis ends up in the middle of this. Bruce Dern plays the sheriff of what's left of this small little town. Most people have vacated the town because of all the violence. And he and William Sanderson are like the only two allies Bruce Willis has, or the closest thing to them. And then Bruce Willis, from there, it's a shoot 'em up. And Bruce Willis keeps switching sides, and dudes on both sides keep getting gunned down. And it all ends in a big, huge explosion of gunfire and shoot 'em up. Last Man Standing is not a great film. It's not a horribly good film. It's a decent for what it is. If you just want to see a dude shooting a place, if you want to see Bruce Willis with 2 6ers shooting a town to pieces, this is the movie for you. Um, it's solid enough looking. It captures the era well enough. The score is interesting and fits what's going on in the film. You'd have to hear it to understand it. It's kind of got almost like a low, deep bass thing. Hey, you got to hear it. I can't explain it. And then a lot of shoot 'em up, but a lot of good actors. I'm going to go through the list of just a few of these dudes real quick because this is a fantastic cast. So Bruce Willis, Christopher Walken, who plays Hickey. He's the scary dude everybody's worried about. Bruce Dern plays the sheriff. Karina Lombardi plays Felina. David Patrick Kelly plays Doyle. Whoever Alexandra Powers is, I don't think I've seen her before. Artie Call. Ken Powers plays um, a law enforcement guy. I think he's with the Marshal Service, who's coming to clean up the town. Michael Imperioli plays Giorgio. Ned Eisenberg plays Fredo. William Sanderson plays the bartender Joe Monday. Cat Patrick Kilpatrick. I mean, this is just a lot of dudes. Louis Contreras, John Lane, Jimmy Ortega, David Duvall, Ted Markland. I've seen all these people. Rainer Sheen plays the gas station attendant. I mean, on it goes. Ken Medlock. That's where I've seen him before. He plays a member of the Strozzi gang, and he's in the movie Moneyball. So just Kim Coates is in this, and I got to watch this again because I don't remember. I think he was just one of the Irish guys. But I mean, that's just a lot of dudes. Alan Graff, he gets gunned up early on. I recognize that actor. So excellent cast, good performances considering what the movie is. And again, it's like almost like a Western Prohibition era gang shoot 'em mobster noir combo, and Bruce Willis kills everybody involved. It's like him and 2 guys don't get killed in this whole movie. So yeah, go check out The Last Man Standing. There's not a whole lot to tell you about it because there's not a whole lot more to it. It's premise to kill people. That's it. And then they go down and how do you get killed? And one guy you shoot him with. It's a revenge film. When you're like bam, 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 but then he dodges that, so you have to pull out a knife. But then he blocks the knife, so now you go to frying pan. Ah! And you got him with the frying pan. It's that movie. It's one of those. A million like it. But this one had a unique combination of mobster film, western film, noir, all into one. And so, and then Bruce Willis shooting people up, and Christopher Walken being scary as shit. This is scary, Christopher Walken. This ain't goofy, Christopher Walken. This is holy shit, Christopher Walken. And I wish there was more of them. I was rooting for the bad guys. I was rooting for the Irish. So, but The Last Man Standing, it isn't great, but it's a fun, eat your popcorn, down a beer. Hey, Eric from Hey Internet, Eric here. If you haven't seen this film, go check this out. I think you would enjoy this. Much good actors, good shoot 'em up, unique blend of genres, good times. So that's it for a White Guy show. Go check out The Last Man Standing or don't. I'll see you on the next video. Got cotton mouth the whole time I've been talking. Cheers.